Razer just released two new webcams, the Kiyo V2 and the Kiyo V2X. One's a 4K webcam, one's a 1440p webcam. Let's check them out. I love how the USB webcam landscape has been changing over the last few years, and while we've got awesome options from a bunch of different companies nowadays, Razer is throwing their hat back in the ring.
Yeah, boy.
A long time ago, they released the Kiyo, which was just okay, had an integrated ring light and other stuff. Then they came out with the Kiyo Pro Ultra, and it made waves, but it was expensive. And then obviously OBSbot and Insta360 and other brands and Elgato included in all that released webcams that were another level of 4K at a price point that was actually insanely competitive, and it made all those $300+ webcams pretty much obsolete. So when Razer reached out to ask me to check these out, I obliged. This right here is the Kiyo V2, and it's a 4K webcam for $150. And then this one right here is the Kiyo V2X, and it is a 1440p webcam. $100 is what it's gonna be going for. This one is mostly plastic. This one is a really good build quality of metal, and it is very solid feeling. V2 also comes with a detachable USB-C cable, and it's just C to C, no C to A adapter included, whereas the V2X is integrated with a cable, and it is type A on the other end. So if having a removable USB cable is important to you, well, it looks like the V2 is going to be your only option there. Anyways, let's plug these in and check them out. And this is the Razer Kiyo V2, just plugged in, no software, no nothing, full automatic. And I have to say, while it doesn't look half bad, it still just looks like a webcam. So definitely, like, I always recommend adjusting settings to get a better picture. And this is gonna need it, but I mean, you'd be decently well suited like this as well. Like the thing is with this is it'll adjust to lighting. So I'm gonna turn my ceiling light on, and then we get all that. And well, I mean, like, it's still capturing everything. The thing is, my background is nice and crisp, that's how you can tell it's a webcam when background is crisp. When you have a fast lens on a mirrorless camera, a fast and expensive lens that is, then it ends up looking more like this, where you have some background blur, some softness to it, but the main subject is nice and sharp, where this is the look of a webcam. So we have some work to do with some adjustments. We can maybe fake the background blur a little bit and do some stuff, but as far as usability goes, plug and play and you're off to the races. Let's see how the mic sounds on it that's built into it. Now I've switched to the mic that's built into the Kiyo V2, and it looks like they've done a lot of work in terms of like the housing of it, and hopefully there's some AI noise cancellation stuff built into it. I won't know for sure until I probably get the software installed and play with the settings there. But this, again, I've just plugged it into OBS and started testing it out, and this is what it sounds like. I just listened back to the microphone test, and it actually doesn't sound half bad. To set this up for an impromptu stream, or use it for Zoom calls, conference calls, meetings, stuff like that, or just to like have it as a backup microphone, it's not actually a terrible sounding choice from what I can hear. So good job, Razer, on that one, because most microphones on webcams are pretty trash, and this one is not bad. I need to ask you something. Are you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Because if you're not, hit that subscribe button, and also follow over on Twitch. Links are right over here. All right, I'm out of here. I don't like it over there. So I'm gonna go through a little bit of this process live because I want to give you some first impression input on what's happening here. Again, I haven't installed the software. This is just purely OBS right now. And so I brought up the little menu to adjust things. And the first thing I like to do is set my exposure manually. So I uncheck the box for exposure, and there we are. And you see it gets darker, but the thing is now the motion for 30 FPS, right now we're at 4K, 30 FPS, the motion blur looks normal. If you go back to auto exposure, to bring it up to look like this, the motion blur is a little okay, but a little off. And now if I go here, turn it off and adjust exposure to match again to give me enough light to look okay, I could already tell, like, this is not right. This is not good. Okay, so what I want to do is bring it to a point where the motion blur looks okay.
down one more. There we go. So this looks natural. This looks good right now. It looks properly smooth. So with that, then I go over to, let's see, I'm going to go with gain. So if I go to gain, to brighten things back up just a little bit. There we are. And then let's see. Something I like to look at when I'm judging sharpness is my hairs here on my beard. And it doesn't look like it needs much. Let's see what it looks like with a little extra sharpness. Just a hair more. And it looks very good. All right, now we're crispy in the face. And this is not bad. This is not a terrible look, just like this. And I haven't adjusted much else. It was just exposure. I set the white balance manually. And like, if I go to automatic white balance, it does this. And then if I uncheck it, it looks a little bluish. So let's give it a little bit more. And now things look kind of punchy a little bit, but natural still. And we have it tuned up a bit, and I like this scene looks bad, looks not bad, looks pretty good actually. Looks like there's plenty of detail in my shirt. You can see it plenty fine. You can see the stuff behind me plenty fine. You can see there's darkness over here, but it's not like just blackness. You can see a little bit of detail in it, so it's getting a lot of information into the sensor. Speaking of the sensor size, there's not a lot of information on it. Razer does have one of their older webcams, Kiyo Pro Ultra, I think is what it is, that it does use one of the biggest sensors in all the webcams. I imagine this one is like 1/1.5, 1/1.4, something along those lines, and it's probably a pretty decent sensor. It is a Sony Starvis sensor, which is pretty common against the higher end, nicer webcams, which is perfectly fine. But one thing that it does have though too is pretty good autofocus. So if you bring something up to the camera and like basically cover the frame with it, it will grab it, and you can see it got the focus, right? And then you let it go out, boom, little hunt, and then we're back. We can do one, there we go. The whole point is it gets you pretty quick. We go here again, and it's, gonna get me. There we go. Now come back, and here we are. Not the fastest. That's a live demonstration of the autofocus, but I would call that good enough. As somebody who struggled with one, manual focus, mirrorless cameras, this is not bad at all. Number two, bad autofocus mirrorless cameras, aka Panasonic in the old days. Again, this is not bad at all. And then number three, I tried making autofocus on the Logitech C920 work for years and years, and it wasn't great. So, does this keep up with the likes of other brands that I've checked out, like from Insta360 and OBSbot? Not exactly, but then again, I'm not sitting here spending a ton of time getting you guys going, having the autofocus work. It works, it grabs it, and then I can get back to talking to what I need to, and I can trust that it caught me. I didn't even look up to check that time, and I know it got me, so I'm pretty confident in that. A benefit to streaming at 1080p or lower resolution, but having a 4K webcam and running it in 4K in your canvas in OBS is that means you can punch in or just zoom in, and it won't lose a whole lot of detail. So there you go again. I'll punch it in one more time live, and we'll see. I'll show you here. Let's pull that up, and now here we are punched in, and it's nice and clear. Like, it still looks good. It's not losing too much detail, and there you go. Like, this is solid. This is one of the reasons I like 4K webcams on a 1080 canvas, is then you can do punch-ins and not lose a ton of quality. And if you do this, you could also use it as a pseudo like showing off your stuff little angle. So like if this zoom is not one incorporated, or you have the camera too far away from where you want to zoom in, and you can just punch in and hold the thing up, and then that will also work. So an advantage to 4K is that's probably my biggest advantage that I would call it, is that being able to punch in and still have good detail. My main camera is still a 1080p camera, so I dare not punch in with that, but it looks pretty good still for what it is, even though it's a $300 camera and a $400 lens. It's not feasible to compare to a webcam like this that's supposed to be at about $150. Now let's undo the punch in. All right, so now we can go and check out the software and see what that can do for us.
When installing Synapse 4, you'll actually come across something that's kind of cool. You get a free license for Camo Studio Pro. And as you can see here on screen, AI auto framing, custom scenes, image enhancements, filters, background replacement, and all that sort of stuff is available to you through there. So let's get that set up. Every Razer that gets sold, Kiyo V2 comes with this. I'm not sure if it's the same with the Kiyo X. We'll be getting to that one in a little bit here. But here's the Kiyo V2. You get Camo Studio Pro, and let's see what that's about. So installing Camo Studio reset the camera settings. So let's go ahead and optimize those again. Now you can see here all along the side that you get a lot of options now with Camo Studio Pro. And my favorite thing here, sorry Razer once again, is that now that I have this actively installed on the computer and activated with the Pro upgrade key that the Razer Synapse software gave me for Camo Studio, I can just use the Camo Studio software and not have to bother with the Razer software anymore. So that's nice, I guess. Anyways, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of this first real quick to do all the settings. And you can see now we have a lot more settings here that we can play with, including shutter speed and exposure and all that. So let's set the exposure again. We don't like that. Wait, that's the shutter speed. Okay, great. 1/60 since we're doing 30 FPS. We don't want any compensation or anything like that. White balance, I do need to set that up. We're gonna be right there is pretty good. And then tint's fine, brightness, saturation, vibrance, gamma. Where is gain? So looks like I don't have, maybe that's compensation. Let's try that. Okay, we'll go up a little bit. Nope, too much. Yeah, no, and if I turn that off, no, that's about the same. Brightness is not gonna do what I want it to do. Sharpness, we'll get to in just a second. Yeah, it looks like compensation is essentially gain. So let's go up just a hair. There we go. Now we got to mess with the white balance since that's been thrown off now. Right back to where, well, a little different. And now let's look at the sharpness one more time. We're gonna do that. There we are. And now we're all set up, and you guys watched me adjust all my settings, get it to looking like this. Now, Camo Studio is a virtual webcam source. So when you select your camera in OBS, you're selecting Camo. You're no longer selecting the Razer Kiyo. That's going to cost additional resources on your computer. So you might want to have a stronger computer if you're going to be messing around using Camo Studio, this functionality and all that sort of stuff. So now we're going to scroll to the top and start over. So here you're going to just focus. You can switch between click to focus, go to manual focus, and that sort of stuff. You can do background stuff here, add a little bit of blur. Now we get what I was talking about earlier, and making this look a little more like a mirrorless camera, messing around with some stuff. And you can adjust it a little bit here. Anytime I've done stuff like this, I don't usually go crazy on the blur like this. I usually go really light, because if you have that subtleness with the blur, it's more convincing. If you go crazy with it like this, you pop out a little too much, like you're a green screen cutout, and it's really obvious. So a little bit of light blur, just like that. And just to show you guys for comparison, if I turn it off, it's crystal sharp in the back. You can look at right here on the Twitch sign. Now if I turn it on, nice and soft. And this is what I'm talking about here. Now you have this look on the webcam, and this is a really good look. Then we have, what is this, privacy? That just maxed out blur. And I get it. Some people do this for the conference calls and stuff like that. If you don't want people to see stuff behind you, do that. And then we just have straight up background replacement. There's different ones you can switch to. Oh, there's green screen. Hello. Somebody might clip that and do something with it, although it's not the strongest of green screens. It's very iffy on the edges and all that stuff. Then we go back to just straight removal. And now nothing. Let's go back to here. I like this. This is pleasing to the eyes. Little light blur, and it's convincingly nice. Like, let's go back to the main scene right here, and you can see, like, now I have something that might convince you into thinking that this is some sort of more expensive mirrorless camera, real camera setup. If I turn off the background blur, nice and sharp. If I turn it on, nice and soft. And I can bring it up probably a little bit more and still be convincing in this look, because this is a pretty good look right now. Shout out to the Camo Studio software here, I guess. Now continuing, there's the spotlight functionality. Is this to optimize lighting? It is. I'm not sure how much I'd play with something like this, but it's there if you don't have great lighting. Right now I have essentially a spotlight. My main key light is on me, so it's not able to do that much with it. But it is something to play with if you have issues with lighting. So just turn that up and down, find a good sweet spot for it. It looks like it also dims the background a little bit, so it makes you as the subject be brighter for the camera. So like if I do this, yeah, you can see the background going dimmer, but it does really get kind of messed up in terms of this because I'm already properly lit. So we don't need that. Filters, you can do this. Look at that. Mess around with filters in there. What is this pop? Like buying Instagram filters and things like that into it. And then you have a filter gallery where you can get access to more filters to use to have fun with on this. So this is kind of neat. What is this? Cinematic filters and black and white. You can do stuff with it that way. Yeah, interesting. I'm not a big filter guy when it comes to this stuff, but this is included with the camera. So effects, emoji hands. This one's funny to me because it doesn't look like anything when you're just by yourself and not messing with it, but then it does those emojis. Come on, that's an emoji. I use it all the time. Do it. You suck. Well, obviously it could use some work. And now we get into the framing, right? Standard frame right now. Then we have auto without zoom, auto frame. So right now I'm not moving. Okay, well there it goes. So if I do that, where's it? It's not working. It's not doing it. It did it earlier. Well, let's go to the other one. There we go. Auto framing with zoom. That's the trick. That's the trick. Now move around. It will, because it had to punch in. Now it's tracking me and it's doing that thing. So this is what you've been seeing happen with cameras that have the gimbals on them, like other ones that I mentioned. And I know NVIDIA can do this with NVIDIA broadcasts as well, but this is all together in one for optimizing your camera. So we're going to go back to standard. I want to pull the zoom out, and there you go. We're back to normal here, and then we're back to all the adjustments that I made. So this is the basics of going over the Camo Studio software to use your Razer Kiyo V2 in a different way. Be able to optimize it, do some more fun stuff with it, all that. Oh, and real quick, something else I wanted to mention. There's an integrated privacy shutter in this that I think is really slick, and that you just turn it and boom. And like, it's really nice to just boom, boom, boom. I know people tend to be worried about this and cover their cameras with a piece of tape or something like that. But this is right in there. Nice. Anyways, now let's switch to the Kiyo V2X. On first plugin, let's adjust some settings. Well, I tried to get the settings right. I had a lot of trouble getting the autofocus to actually focus properly, even manually adjusting it. And settings after settings, playing with it, I can't seem to get it to look as good as I want it to look. So unhappy with the X. The V2, the 4K one, much better. Oh, and by the way, this is 1440p 60. Let's move on. I really wanted to like the Kiyo V2X, but ultimately it was a bit of a letdown. Its functionality made it hard to adjust properly for my lighting condition here, and this is where I like to test most webcams most of the time, because it's already set up for a streaming sit-down talk-to-camera configuration. But it just didn't work out. Now the V2, the 4K one, Coming with Camo Pro, which the V2X does not come with that Camo Pro software, made it a little bit extra value add, and the $149 spent on that to get that functionality makes it hurt a little less. But ultimately, if you said, hey, this one's $50 more and it's way better, I'd spend the $50. Solid build quality, integrated privacy shutter, pretty easy to adjust and get good visual out of it, image quality and stuff. And then you have the fun stuff you could do with the software if you wanted to use that. It's pretty solid. So to say that the 4K high-end webcam arena is getting competitive now with Razer throwing their hat back into the ring, when you have competitors like Insta360, OBSbot, and even Elgato to some degree in that realm, and others as well, which will have some upcoming stuff that you won't want to miss. I think that the Kiyo V2 is going to be a compelling option, especially if you're a Razer fan. For the V2X, I hope some firmware updates straighten it out and help it become a better webcam, but as of now, I'm not happy with it. If you want one of these webcams, get the V2 regular, the 4K one. Links will be down in the description. Anyways, if you like this video, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and that bell so you don't miss a single upload. Also, I stream to Twitch every Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/CoalitionChris. So make sure to stop by, drop a follow. Let's talk tech, talk webcams, talk all sorts of streamer stuff, whatever. PC building, of course. And yeah, maybe see you there. Anyways, I will catch you all later in the next video, next stream, or something else. Bye for now.